Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Here's a headline from the Crypto Basic. Expert predicts XRP bottom 31 weeks after Bitcoin halving, targeting $26 on recovery. I got to tell you, and I'll get to this article a little bit later in the video, but there are so many analysts that are calling for not just double-digit XRP, but a lot of them closer to the $20 to $25 mark, and I'm very curious to see who is the most precise regarding their XRP price prediction for this market cycle, because all of it's plausible. It just kind of depends on how much money flows into the market, which is to say, how high is Bitcoin going to go? How much then will cycle into XRP and other altcoins? That's the major question. And of course, I do not buy for a moment it's because of the Bitcoin halving. But it does line up with liquidity cycles, which I think is clearly what's actually causing the movements that we see, these roughly 4-year cycles. More on that in this video, by the way. But either way, I think it's time to go the other direction. Like we've had enough downward price action in our lives in recent years. Let's go the other direction. I think it's probably time for that. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. As I record this video, it is 6:12 p.m. Central Time. It's my time zone on Thursday, October 31st, 2024. So happy Halloween, everybody. We got XRP hanging out right around 51 cents, Bitcoin at 70,332 bucks. We did have a little bit of a scare. I mean, some people's emotions got hit undoubtedly, but Bitcoin dropped a little bit below 70K, getting to 69,699 bucks according to Live Coin Watch. XRP getting as low as 50.3 cents. So there's, there's certainly an acknowledgement from lots of reputable analysts out there that you could see a bit of a pullback for Bitcoin, but there's also a broad expectation that if we get a pullback, it's probably going to be fairly shallow in the short term. And there's this broad expectation that once the election's over, which is less than a week away, that's when you're really going to see that's when the opportunity would be for the true fireworks to start. It doesn't mean it literally would have to be the next day or the next week, but getting weeks and then the next couple months out of that, historically, that is when you see these major moves to the upside. So we are incredibly close. And I remember 4 years ago, it was beginning part of November when XRP did start to go on its first major move of the cycle. It was around 20-something cents, maybe slightly above that. And in a matter of a couple weeks or so, I believe it got up to something like 80 cents. Crypto Fear and Greed Index at 77 out of 100. That's because this bad boy only updates once every 24 hours, and it doesn't update for another 46 minutes. So I'm willing to bet that's going to be a little bit lower. We'll probably just be back into greed rather than the extreme greed we've seen over the last couple days. Here's a post from chart analyst Khaleo talking about Bitcoin. And even if you're like me and you care way more about XRP, the Bitcoin conversation should still be interesting to you because Bitcoin leads the way. But here's what he's doing. He's drawing upon historic precedent to kind of make a point. He says, when Bitcoin retested its previous all-time high near $20,000 in late 2020, it didn't immediately rip past it. It initially pulled back on a quick wick, nearly 20%. Thanksgiving 2020 was a Black Friday sale, especially for alts, and accumulated in a range for 30 days prior to breaking out. The breakout happened 219 days after the May 2020 halving. We're in a similar spot now, retesting the all-time high almost 200 days post-2024 halving. A little bit of a pullback here isn't any reason for concern. You'll probably feel it the most in your alts, but those will be the ones that rip back the hardest. More than anything now is the time to position yourself for the move up that's coming, and to make sure you're not in a position where a pullback will shake you out prior to that move. This is still the calm before the storm. Be more bullish. Okay, so I broadly agree with that, just because it is based on historic precedent. I don't agree with the halving really having anything to do with it. In fact, TechDev kind of makes that point here. He shared the following with his 476,000 followers. He wrote 3.75 years. And so he's citing that that's the actual length of the cycles. It's about 3.75 years. He says, it's the liquidity cycles world. Bitcoin just lives in it. And so, if you're putting together a chart, you can use the Bitcoin halving as a proxy. rather than liquidity cycles. You pulling that, you can do that. The reason is because the Bitcoin halving happens to roughly line up with the liquidity cycles, but it's not the cause of it, which is why I always think it's silly when people put that in rather than just acknowledging that it's a liquidity cycle. Because when you're talking about the halving, there's already almost no new Bitcoin being created. So when you cut in half with the halving, when you literally cut in half the production of new Bitcoin, it's got that new Bitcoin smell. It's just actually just plastic, I think, and resins. But anyway, when you cut it in half the already small number, it doesn't matter. Almost all the Bitcoin that people buy and sell each cycle, it already exists. So cut in half the already insignificant number, it just doesn't matter. Clearly, just use your brain. It's very obvious this is indeed the case. So then if that's not it, then it's just a correlation. Well, what's causing it? Again, liquidity cycle here. So the reason this is neat, and it's kind of pointed out by, well, a lot of people, he was kind of making the point. For those of you looking at the screen, you can see what he's targeting here. But that post from TechDev was reposted by Dr. Magic, and he said, I'm going with tech, fellas, not just for his many other reasons too. Top should be in before we end first half of 2025. Yeah, so if the crypto market cycle indeed is following liquidity, just global liquidity cycles, that would be at the latest, right? That would pretty much be it, which lines up roughly with where we saw the peak last market cycle, because the November of 2021 anyway, when Bitcoin finally hit way up to close to $70,000, that would still arguably, I've seen this point made by tons of chart analysts, that was basically just a fake out. The real action, a lot of it had ended by the time you're reaching like May of that year. So, either way, but this is why I keep saying, like, the best is yet ahead. And here's another post. This is from chart analyst Dr. Magic. Now, this would be interesting. He says, do I have any lunatics who are willing to join my thesis? And you can see where he's targeting Bitcoin, potentially, depending on which fib level you're looking at, potentially up to $220,000. And then in a separate post, he wrote, not higher than $245,000. Now, I acknowledge that's possible. That certainly wouldn't be my base case. I think that the analysts that say maybe somewhere around $120,000, $150,000, maybe that's the most reasonable. But I will say, if that happens, my God, we are not bullish enough on XRP, because way more money will flow into our alts, including XRP. So if like $10 or $15 is reasonable, if Bitcoin hits $120,000 to $150,000, then if it goes to $220,000, maybe the people that are talking about $20 to $25 XRP, maybe they are right. We'll see how nuts this gets. I'm optimistic either way. I can't help but believe that what's most probable, assuming we do have this alt season, which I think is most likely, man, this is going to change a lot of people's lives. There are going to be a lot of very new, filthy rich individuals thanks to XRP, and then the ride will have proven to be worth it. But man, we've gone through hell over the last few years, especially with that SEC nonsense. Here's a post from chart analyst Mustache, #altcoins. The biggest dips for Bitcoin and altcoins are already over, in my opinion. I think this is the last chance to buy relatively cheap before we see face-melting pumps. Prices will trade significantly higher for most of your bags in the coming weeks and months. Just my 2 cents. Okay, I can get down with that analysis. That makes sense. There's historic precedent for that. Yes. Unless the bears are right and the rally's actually over and we just don't know it yet. But I just don't buy that for a second. This is going to go. We know that markets rip after elections. We know that alts are going to outperform Bitcoin, because even if Bitcoin does go to some of those crazy levels, what are we going to get? Maybe a 2 or 3-fold increase in price. Okay. Well, isn't it obvious that like pretty much every altcoin in existence is going to do more than a 2 or 3-fold increase? Duh. Especially something like XRP that's so supremely undervalued compared to other large caps. It's been artificially suppressed for years. Here's a post from the Nijin Tropic account, which is run by the two co-founders of on-chain analytics firm Glassnode. And they wrote, Altcoin alert. Total 3, so that would be the crypto total market cap excluding Bitcoin and ETH. Total 3 is compressing after breaking out of its downtrend. Signs are pointing to a possible breakout. Altcoin opportunities could emerge if Bitcoin consolidates above support. Are you watching? Yes, indeed, I am watching. And as long as nothing crazy, stupid happens with Bitcoin to the negative, yeah, that's when the party gets started. The asset class moves in tandem. We don't need to overthink this. XRP is part of the asset class. Therefore, if it goes, XRP will go. Even last market cycle with all of the SEC nonsense, XRP still moved in tandem with the asset class. Yeah, we didn't see a new all-time high, but even with that incredible, terrible attack, XRP still did a 20x last market cycle from the bottom of the market to the top, going from about 10 cents to about $2. That's insane. Think about that. And it stayed in the top 10 coins by market cap. XRP clearly has strength. Like, the market thinks it makes sense. And I gotta tell you, I agree. Here's a post from chart analyst Crypto Insight UK, and he said, XRP liquidity. Dip to 46 cents, push to 67 cents, question mark. So he does think there's a chance that we could see a move to the downside, though, of course, if that happens, presumably it would be part of the entire asset class having some sort of dip led by Bitcoin. And then in a separate post here, he wrote, because somebody asked him, what's your price for the end of the bull run? And he said $12 to $15 would be nice, but heavily dependent on markets. Okay, that's definitely true. It depends on how much money flows into Bitcoin and into the market on the whole first. Which is why I say you better hope for a gigantic, ridiculous Bitcoin top price, because the higher that bad boy gets, the more money's going to flow into your altcoins, which is where the real opportunity is, obviously. But yeah, $12 to $15, you know, I'm hoping we look back and find out, yeah, that was actually conservative, but who knows? Maybe it'll be right around there. We'll see. A chart analyst Stephanus Crypto shared this, and he said, XRP USD market structure has quietly shifted from bearish to bullish. Lower highs and lows are out, making way for higher potential. As long as the 50-cent range holds on the weekly, most aren't seeing this yet, but a breakout could be on the horizon. Yeah, so I could certainly buy the narrative that we're close, but to be honest with you, that's because I think the whole market is pretty close. I mean, to be honest with you, just thinking about, again, historic precedent, election cycle, yes, I buy into that because history rhymes with itself, and that's what normally happens. So I think it makes sense to buy into that concept. Here's a post from chart analyst eGreg Crypto. It's the relative strength index for the XRP BTC chart, which I find fascinating here. Perhaps is XRP a little bit oversold? So here's what he wrote. The monthly RSI for XRP BTC is forming a double bottom, a classic bullish signal. This setup often marks the beginning of a trend reversal, hinting that momentum could be shifting upward. This formation might be setting the stage for the next big move. Well, I certainly hope so. It's as far as I'm concerned, just a matter of time. XRP cannot and will not stay where it is forever. And in this case, yeah, he's talking about RSI. By the way, I don't have it pulled up for this video. Somebody else, I can't remember who, was saying that the most recent break above a specific trend line, which is not what eGreg Crypto had drawn here, it was just a fake out. And so maybe that's why he's saying double bottom here. But either way, you know, like whatever a market is doing in the moment, just understand it's not going to do that forever. And like the crypto pie gets bigger over time. We do trend upwards. Things do go in the right direction. It's just there's a lot of suffering for people going through this. People have been absolutely emotionally and psychologically tortured by XRP for years on end. And I'm always going to blame the SEC for a huge portion of that, including us not having a new all-time high last market cycle. But we do have that clarity. There are no more excuses. And that's why I've never been so optimistic as an XRP holder. And then there's this headline that I mentioned at the outset of the video. Expert predicts XRP bottom 31 weeks after Bitcoin halving, targeting $26 on recovery. Okay, so I've already said my piece on how I don't think the halving matters, but I'm just going to share it as written. I don't want to regurgitate a bunch of that. I'm tired of talking about it. People are wrong if they think the halving is the cause of this, but everybody's entitled to be wrong. So they're there, and they are. Anyway, it reads as follows, though. In an analysis from crypto market analyst Crypto Bilboo, which is a very fun name to say, a bullish trend has emerged linking XRP price movements to the Bitcoin halving. The forecast suggests that XRP could reach a new high of $26 based on historical patterns observed around Bitcoin's halving cycles and its subsequent impact on Bitcoin dominance and XRP. The chart tracks XRP's price alongside Bitcoin dominance over an extensive time frame. The pattern shows a unique 31-week cycle after each Bitcoin halving, in which XRP hits its lowest point. Data from the chart shows that following each halving, XRP faces a consolidation for several weeks and then bottoms out on the 31st week. At this 31-week mark, Bitcoin dominance typically reaches a peak, while XRP starts an upward trend. And so, folks, again, yes, I believe it's liquidity cycles, and then you can use Bitcoin halving as a proxy because the timing lines up. but you could plug liquidity in there, global liquidity, and it's still going to line up undoubtedly about the same. And so this is a matter of fact. It's true. Bitcoin dominance will ultimately reach the peak, and then XRP starts to go berserk. That's just historically what has happened. I don't think this time is likely to be different. The pink areas on the chart signify the period in which Bitcoin dominance falls, while XRP rises, creating an inverse relationship. As Bitcoin's market control fades, XRP's price has shown a tendency to climb, signaling the possibility of substantial growth in the post-halving period. And again, that's what always seems to happen. And so top target from this particular analyst, and I keep seeing stuff like this, about $26. So I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't make price predictions. That's not my gig. But I don't think it's crazy to suppose that perhaps that will happen. I don't know if that should be like, I don't know if that's my base case even. I don't know. I'm openly admitting I don't know, other than I have strong conviction about directionally what is going to occur, which is to say XRP price dramatically up, the whole market goes up, XRP hits new all-time high, enters price discovery, and then we'll just find out together what that looks like. I have very strong conviction for that for tons of reasons here. But I don't know. Are we going to look back and be like, yeah, $10 XRP predictions, those were too conservative? Or are we going to be like, they're right on the money? Or are we going to be slightly disappointed and XRP goes to like $7 or $8? Who knows? Somebody's going to be correct, though. But either way, what I keep seeing is broad expectation from any analyst that's worth a damn in terms of following them. They believe, yes, XRP new all-time high, enterprise discovery. So we'll see here, but again, $26, don't know if it'll happen. Sure as hell not crazy. This is an incredibly exciting time to be in crypto, so we go and find out together. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.